Okay, so we are going to start doing the AOVs and render setup for our shot so that we can render later on. First thing, I'm going to just organize these a little bit better. Come here. So these are my lights. And I'm gonna use a bounding box here. Let's call these lights. Okay, and these are my mesh for my pyro. So I'll press C and I'm just gonna change the color. Okay. So to do the setup for my AOVs, I will come down to my lights. I will go to contribution, and under AOV light group, I will name them. So maybe let's say for this, I'll call it HDRI light. And then so on and so forth. So you're gonna do this for every single light that you have in your shot. Switch off the camera. Transmission subsurface, cause they won't be rendered. And same goes for the pyro lights. So I'll call this pyro 1. Pyro 2. And of course pyro 3. Okay, so that's all the lights. So to create the AOVs for my light group, I'll come down to render and I will go to properties, and over here you see AOV shaders, AOVs. So let's say for now I create one and I call this RGBA underscore star. So what this does is it finds all the RGBA underscore star, which is our lights, and put them into every single AOV. So under type there's RGB. So if you use RGBA, they will render alpha. But for this case, I don't need alpha, so I'll just render RGB, because later on I will include an alpha node so that there won't be any edge issues when I do compositing later on. So let's just test render. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this here for a moment. So under this tab, normally it will be hidden. You will see this created. Okay, so if you click on one, you'll see that the light direct contribution to your shot. So like the HDRI, the bottom light, the rim light. Yeah, so you get the idea behind this, the reason why we do this. So when we go into compositing, we can filter out each passes and then tweak its intensity or whatever you need to tweak, which would otherwise be rendered separately, which will take more time, so you don't want to do that. And okay, so that's for your light AOVs. And next, I'll create a few more. So the main ones that normally I will render out as a pass would be the position, the normals, of course the alpha, as well as Z depth. Yeah. So those are the 4 basics one. And also I will normally bring in the diffuse, specular, and coat. So whatever passes that, or rather whatever textures that we have brought in our shader, I will also render them out. And by doing that, I can split them out in comp and also tweak whatever we need and bring it back in. So the more passes you have, I wouldn't say it will be better, but in that case you have more options to choose from so that you don't have to re-render, because re-rendering is a pain. It takes maybe a day or two or one night, and when you do that, you waste a lot of time. So by having more passes, you can streamline your process and just figure out which pass does what to which pass by using merge, and you can tweak it from there. So in this case, I will just leave it as 5 first. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'll just bring in the rest as well for this time being. Okay, so I'll bring in the direct diffuse, indirect, diffuse, specular direct, sorry. And I need more. Specular indirect, quote direct, and quote indirect. And also the most important one, the emissive, so that I can control the emission separately. So our emission will be here. So let's just do a render. Okay, so I'll just stop this here. So under this tab, I will see all the passes that I've created. So this is my position, my normals, my alpha, my z. Z now can't be seen because of the exposure level. My diffuse direct, indirect, my specular, my quote, as well as my emission. Yeah. Okay, so this is all good. So to render, I have to make sure that my render frame range is correct. So it's 1 to 100, and this is at 1. Gonna come down to samples. I'll just leave this at 2. And under system, I'll switch on render threads and set it to -1. So what this does is it activates all my core except for one for additional tasks when I want to do something else later. I'll set my priorities to high, and I will come down to main. Make sure my camera is correct. So this time I'll use main camera. Make sure all these are alright. It's all working. Okay. So I'll come back to properties again. Under output, I can save my file. So I'll bring into render. And create a new folder. And I'll call this mothership dot $f dot exr. So $f means it will render the exr for every single frame that I have set on top. Okay, so make sure this is open exr. We want to render in exr. Okay, so with that, I can start my render, and by pressing render to this, the render process will start. And okay, so next we will start to do some of the setup for our compositing in Nuke.